WA's population is growing by roughly one person every 6 minutes. But there's not enough homes. And with Perth already one of the world's longest cities, it can't keep growing out. It needs to grow up.
Accelerating the delivery of infill, medium and high density apartments.
But buying an apartment off the plan comes with risks. Audrey Taylor learnt the hard way.
It's just stressful and it's always in the back of my mind.
You can live the lifestyle.
3 years ago, the 22-year-old nurse put down an $18,000 deposit for an apartment at this site in the Perth suburb of Inglewood.
This was meant to be built, I believe, over 2 years ago now. It's hard to kind of keep track.
Builder Nicheliving has unfinished homes all over the city. It recently relinquished its building registration in a deal brokered by the WA government, allowing customers to access up to $200,000 in home indemnity insurance.
Bringing to a close the period of limbo customers have been in.
But apartments over 3 stories aren't covered.
I don't feel like there's any reason why, as an apartment buyer, that I don't get that same right as them.
If you're buying a house on land or a townhouse, you're protected. If you're buying an apartment, you're not.
Nicheliving's director is allowed to remain as the developer of the Inglewood apartments, but will need to find a new builder to finish the project, a process Audrey has been told is underway.
I just don't know how much I believe them because they've told me in the past that there were updates that didn't end up happening. So I still don't want to plan anything and get my hopes up.
The WA government last year announced plans to crack down on apartment builders, including by introducing mandatory inspections during critical points of construction. But that won't start until 2026.
The state government has a responsibility to look after the apartment owners, especially as they are championing that infill housing choice.
Commerce Minister Sue Ellery, welcome to Stateline WA.
Thank you.
What more can be done to improve consumer protection for apartment buyers?
Yeah, so I saw obviously Audrey's distress and I can understand that. Building a new home is a major life event at the best of times, and doing it in these times is magnified that level of stress. I think it's important to understand the difference between the contractual arrangements and the financial arrangements that apply when you build a single residential home versus apartments. So with a single residential home, the contract you sign commits you to make progress payments throughout the life of the build, and there is no finite end point of when that building must be complete. For apartment builders, it's a different contract and different financial arrangement. So the contract that you sign has you pay a upfront deposit that's held in trust for you. And we know in respect of Sky and the niche apartments, that is held in trust. We've checked. And then there is a finite end to that contract. The other difference is there is no provider of insurance for apartments 4 stories and above.
Does that need to change?
There's no provider anywhere in Australia, none. So it really is a market failure. We do know there is a pilot project in New South Wales and Building and Energy, part of the Commerce portfolio, are watching that very closely to see if that's something that we might be able to apply in Western Australia.
You announced building reforms last year meant to crack down on apartment builders. Would any of those changes have improved the situation with this niche apartment?
So what we're hoping part of what they will achieve is to build confidence of consumers. So much tighter rules for the Building Commissioner, much greater powers for the Building Commissioner, much greater fines, mandated inspections at about 9 different points during the build of an apartment. And frankly, we're hopeful that that might give the insurance industry a reason to get back into the market.
So why wait until 2026 when we know these issues are happening now?
So there's really 2 reasons. In the first instance, the construction industry has been through so much that if we were to impose the mandatory inspections immediately, we don't have the workforce to do it. It just does not exist to do it. The leap in costs that would then be passed on to consumers would also be significant as well. So as with all of the changes that we've made in Western Australia to building changes, we've done it in a very incremental way. Now that's quite deliberate. I understand the frustration for people who are in the market now, but it is deliberately designed so that we can actually deliver what we're promising. There's no point us announcing we're going to do this tomorrow if we don't have enough building surveyors to do it, and right now we don't.
But between now and 2026, why would anyone have confidence of buying an off-the-plan apartment?
I think there's a couple of things to take into account. Firstly, the very different financial arrangement that I explained already. So they're not making those payments throughout the life and getting that double whammy of a financial burden. That's important. The second thing is, in Western Australia, we really haven't seen the kind of, frankly, catastrophic structural defects that we saw on the East Coast.
But we shouldn't have to wait for that to act, right?
And we're not. We have already announced that we're making those changes, and we're doing it in a considered way. We want to build confidence in the industry, but we also know the market of builders in Western Australia, they're mainly West Australian builders, and most of them conduct themselves in a way that ensures they get ongoing business. Now, that's not to say someone experiencing delays now is not legitimately frustrated about that. I can understand that completely. But we need to do this in a way where the actual industry can deliver it, and we're not peaking costs and putting housing, which is already expensive for people, beyond the realms by increasing costs because we've made so many changes so quickly.
Minister Sue Ellery, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.